Everyone's kerfuffling.
Hello there, welcome to another Kerfuffle showcase here, and we're delighted to have with us today the team from Acaboom with two of their lovely clients from the RAN network. Hello everybody, how are you this fine day?
Good morning, very fine, thank you.
Yeah, good morning from the sunny Isle of Wight.
As I said before, Keith, stop showing off tier one and everything else. That's just able to walk around, walk into pubs. It's all Angela's been in lockdown now for what is it, 7 months or something?
March.
No, not been in any lockdown at all here.
No, very nice. Very jealous and envious. Well, we're delighted to have you guys on, and again, showing the strength of the relocation agent network to have you from such disparate, obviously, regions, but obviously utilising the Acaboom tool as fully as we're going to discuss over the next half hour. I think what I'd really like to kick off with, guys, if that's okay, as we said, this is really to recreate those round tables that RAN do so well and get some feedback from your to give to your fellow peers in the network. And I suppose what I was interested to find out first and foremost was, what was it that first attracted you to Acaboom? What problem were you trying to solve? I'm obviously incredibly polite, so I'll go to Angela first from Goldfinch.
At the time, I was actually looking for a presentation I could send to our sellers pre-val with a video of our marketing specialists, our valuers, to introduce them. And I was struggling because we were having to send several different things to the customer. So we were having to send the market appraisal letter, then a separate video. And then literally about a week later, I sat in on a RAN regional meeting with Susanna, and boom, Acaboom was there. And it was just like, this is everything that I'm actually looking for. So for me, it made complete sense to go down that avenue with Acaboom.
And that's quite important, isn't it? You know, because it's very easy these days to just keep adding bits of tech here, tech there, but to be able to actually get a solution that ties together a number of different things is great, because it means then that your, what do they call it, your tech stack is actually much tighter. And a lot of the time it's a bit like a Jenga pile, isn't it? You pull one piece out and the whole thing falls down. With Acaboom, it does solve a number of things, nurturing the presentation elements. So that I can understand entirely on that side of things. And what about yourself, Keith?
Well, obviously, when the first lockdown came, it gave me a lot of chance to look at all the things we were doing. And one of the things, a bit like Andrew said, was we send a valuation letter, we send a 12-page colour brochure, lots of other information. That was taking about £2.50 in post, didn't always get there on time. Then they opened it, probably someone just read it. So I thought, what can we do? And I was searching through the internet, looking at things of what we could do, video, things like that, and came across Acaboom and saw the presentation. And like I think Andrew said, it just tied in everything what I was looking for to use to the client. It's much slicker, easier to manage, and you can see things. So that's how we came to come to it. I was looking at our tech, and there's lots of tech out there, but it was finding something that one thing could do the job rather than 3 or 4 things. So very similar to Angela, but I was looking at it in the first lockdown, just appraising the business really on how antiquated us estate agents are. Keep sending letters out, standard boring letter, brochure I have to keep printing, someone remembering to post it or deliver it, same old. So that's how we came about it.
Excellent. And I think that's a key point, isn't it, Susanna, especially during lockdown? Never really mind actually lockdown. Just the fact that people are quite nervous, and best practice is not to be leaving loads of brochures or glosses or anything behind now. We speak off camera, don't we? We talk about, God, could you imagine what the tabloids would do with a story like that? Estate agent infects, someone else, they'd have an absolute field day, wouldn't they? So it is really important that actually Acaboom has a big tick in the box at the moment, that this is the right safe thing to do, isn't it?
COVID friendly.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Keith. You took the words right out of my mouth. Exactly. And of course, a lot of agents are still leaving things behind in certain situations. So it does leave you a big tick in the box that you've followed that kind of professional line, really, of saying, well, look, we are COVID friendly. We're going to send this digitally to you.
And I think what Keith and Angela was saying there is quite interesting to me, because actually I think it's fair to say you and Brian struggled for a while, didn't you, in terms of what do you exactly label Acaboom as, because
Still struggle with that now, because there's not a label for it as such. We're not a CRM system or an email marketing system as such. We haven't got a label for what we do as such. We do lots of things, but really I often say we're like a kit bag for market appraisals, really, because it does a number of things. It kind of, introduces you properly before the appointment. It gives you tools, the valuer, to enhance their pitch at the appraisal. And then really it gives that initial kind of proposal that goes out, as opposed to a standard valuation letter, which most agents are still doing. And then it really follows up and nurtures the database for sort of a long period of time until
That's
they
what I love. Yeah.
I mean, you said it ties in. So you didn't have to go on and get a Rightmove best price guide that everyone does to get comparables to take along. You were trying to go into about 3 or 4 different places to get stuff, where Acaboom put it all in one place in a very slick presentation. So that's basically what sold it to me.
And Keith, that point in particular, isn't it, where so many agents, they spend all their time trying to differentiate themselves, new website, everything else. And when you actually go into the appraisal, you instantly homogenize yourself, taking just a Rightmove guide. And where's the difference in that? That is a nice feature, isn't it, of Acaboom, is that you can differentiate yourself, pulling comparables from other sources and presenting it in the right fashion.
I think I mean, we're probably jumping on a bit, but yes, when you're actually sending it to the client, you actually get to see the properties, what the comparables are, rather than a minute print off on the best price guide, which I'm sure Angela knows. You get it's even smaller than a stamp to look at, a picture, and it's very badly laid out. And like you said, every man and his dog does that, or takes, I don't know, Zoopla one or whatever, where this puts it into a very clear, precise, slick presentation. So it just, like you said, brought everything together that we all use as agents.
It's interactive, isn't it, for the customer? The customer can actually click on the properties, the competition. They can see it better, where take out a paper form. As you say, it's a little stamp size picture and some script. So it's just overall a fantastic tool.
Yeah. But I was going to ask you about that then. So how do your guys use it in your business? Because obviously there's a variety of different ways you can do it. Could you just talk those people maybe that don't know so much about Acaboom, how you guys are actually using it?
How we? Oh, sorry. Do you want to go first, Angela?
Well, for us, it's as soon as we gain that valuation call, it gets all of the details get inputted into Acaboom, and then a letter gets sent out to the customer, and that's obviously electronically. That has a presentation of our team, our valuer, what to expect in the appointment, and from there we then use it from having been out to the appointment to give them the ability to keep in touch with us. We can see reports where the customers have clicked into it, and that's great because you can then ring up kind of the same day. And I think for us, we've put withdrawal properties on there. We've put properties that we've lost to other agents. We make sure that they're still in touch with us, because they are in our database and receiving reports on a weekly or a fortnightly basis from Acaboom for up to 2 years. So we use it in a number of ways.
Excellent. And yourself, Keith? It's very similar?
Yeah, so what we do, and we learned very early on, was once we spoke to the person to register them on our CRM system for evaluation, we explained to them what they're going to receive, because what we found very early doors was when we sent it out, quite a few opened it, but it was probably because it's so different, it threw them a bit. So what I've got my guys trained now is when we book the valuation, we explain they're going to get a presentation via like a video presentation, telling us about the company, etc. And we ask them to look at it. And then we will talk to them when we get there. So then we load the customer details on, send that out to the customer, and then obviously when we then sit there. We've learned also to put at least 6 comparables on. I think it was Susanna said that we were using probably 4 or 5 and it wasn't quite working, so we put 6 on. And then when we go out, what we have done now, we take, I know it sounds like not groundbreaking, but agents don't do it. We bought a couple of iPads We now take the presentation out on the iPad. We don't take any paperwork out, and we sit there and can scroll through the presentation. One of the nice features, I know it's jumping around, people love, is being able to click on a property and see what it's sold for, the internal pictures, because you often get a client say, oh, mine's better than that house. And with the Rightmove report, with that little picture, it tells you nothing, where the client now can click in, look through it, see all the stats. So we go through it on the presentation. We often leave it with them. We go off around the house, come back, talk about it, then obviously get back to the office, fill in the valuation part, and then we explain to them, then they're going to get a presentation sent back to them, and they need to have a good look through it. If they got any questions, we set ourselves a target, because Acaboom, I don't know if you know, produce each week a stat on how many people have opened the pre-val, how many people open the post-val. I believe on speakings, we like a challenge that the average in Acaboom, I think, is something like 50% odd. So I challenge my guys to get an open rate of 90%. We have hit 85 to 90% on open rate on both pre-val and post-val.
I'm just not aware of any other medium apart from potentially WhatsApp, which is a very different experience, isn't it? That has that level of open, and I suppose that comes down to the hyper relevance you're talking about, aren't you?
Yeah.
And actually, what I love about you talking about there as well, the ability to leave them with the presentation itself is great, because you're not doing the hard sell, are you? It's not like they feel like they're being closed. We're just going to take a while to walk around the house, leave you with these. I'll answer any questions when I come back. It's a lovely, lovely, gentle way of doing it. And actually, if they are with their partner there, they're probably going to be better teed up, which is obviously the job of comparables anyway, isn't it? To understand that there is competition out there.
Well, one, and again, we're probably jumping around, but one of the best things my manager said was, when an agent goes out, predominantly, I mean, we all try and get both parties there, but in reality, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
There's either the wife at home or the husband at home.
Yeah.
So you do a presentation to one person. You then rely on that person to do another 30-minute presentation to hubby or wife when they get home from work. What normally happens is wife or hubby walk in, how'd you get on? Great. Trigg & Co said 100,000 and 2%. That's what they tell them. They don't tell them all the other things we do that's unique. The beauty of the presentation is, which again is another thing we do, we get both the husband and wife or both partners' emails. So when you email the report, both clients get it. So they both get the presentation. They both have seen the post presentation. So our presentation is then the husband or wife, whoever hasn't seen it, can look at it. So we haven't got to try and rely on the person we presented to present our features to their partner. It's all done in the video. That is massive, because you can sit there for an hour in someone's house.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that person you present to, when the partner gets home, all they tell them is the price and the fee.
Yeah.
We don't tell them all the other things we do, how long we're open, and I don't know, and I'm sure Angela, all the things she does as well, but they can see it in that presentation. Also, the other major feature, which is work for us, is when you send a letter back out of the price, if they open it up, have a quick look, put it down. What we found on one of our clients, it was 11:30 at night. They were both looking at our presentation whilst lying in bed.
Yeah.
And they can both go back over everything we said. Now, no one's going to pick up a letter that's in an envelope and sit in bed and read loads of text. So actually, the power of that over an envelope, which normally gets left, put under on the coffee table, and they can view that presentation multiple times, which they often do, whether it's at work, at home, in bed, afternoons, and we see that a lot, and that is very powerful.
With that forces me to say the superhero phrase: with great power comes great responsibility, because it's beholden then to not say, when you were in bed last night, I could see you looking at it.
Yes, we're obviously quite diplomatic when we chase them the next day to say, we know what you were doing in bed last night.
Especially if he
Angela said,
a couple of minutes later.
Yeah, well, the reason we know is when we rang that client the next day, we said, you know, how are you finding things? She said, funny you should ring. Me and my husband were looking at it last night in bed, and that's how we knew.
I think that is a key element here, isn't it? Because there is and I love it, that wonderfully stalky kind of nature there. But actually, first of all, as well, I think there's a whole generation of people that actually, they know how the game is played. And actually, they don't see it as being pervasive anymore. They actually see it as customer service. And it's almost like, well, we know you've got the ability to, you know, to do these things. So if you don't get the call back, you're kind of letting them down on that approach anyway. And I guess your teams have to get very kind of used to faking surprise, don't they? Oh yeah, just a timely phone call.
Yeah, we obviously don't tell them, and we've done a survey with people on all our vendors of what they liked and not liked about it.
Okay.
One interesting fact that popped up on the pre-val, the biggest thing they liked on the pre-val was seeing the picture of the person who's coming, and a bit about them. They said no other agent, we have no idea. I mean, we asked 5 questions to all our vendors, and that stood out as one of the biggest things. They said people just turn up. We don't know who's turning up, whether it's male or female, what experience they've got. They all liked that particular part.
Yeah. We actually have a video of our marketing specialists introducing themselves, and that's always received really well as being very personable, so that when they open the door, they know who who they've got. And I think that's a fantastic feature, which is one of the things that really drew me to Acaboom in the first instance, was tying everything in.
Yeah, I think they like. And the other thing about looking and taking the thing, reading it in bed, if there's been 3 agents out that day, Simon, they've all presented to you, your other half gets home, you tell them about it, then maybe you're sitting at dinner talking about moving.
Yeah.
All they can say is there's a letter, or they actually haven't got a letter at that point, because when you've gone back, you've had to type it and put it in the post. But what they've got with us, they can sit at the table with their laptop or their iPad, go through the presentation, look at all the stats. So they're talking about Trig & Co. They're not talking about the other 2 agents that haven't even sent the letter yet.
Just at the point, and we all know how important time is in all these things.
Yeah.
Literally, you know, 1 day later, 2 days later, your memory's fading faster than anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love that ability to have it, you know, communicated properly as it was meant to do as well, because we all have that friend, no names mentioned here, Susanna, who tries to retell a joke and does a terrible job of it. And if you're relying on them to do Chinese whispers, aren't you? You're not giving yourself the best possible chance of that. So I think that's great. I also love what you were talking about there, Angela. Obviously, that ability to have the video in there does personalize something that, you know, is very polished, and brings it, and again, makes it feel very real, doesn't it? At least you know it's a real human being kind of.
Yeah, we've got the 360 in there of what our office looks like as well. So I think what I was really keen on was being able to showcase our stance in the market with social media as well, and the digital era. So it wasn't just like a flat presentation they get, it's quite interactive. So that, yeah, overall, if nobody is not using Acaboom, I have no words for them.
Don't do the hard sell yet, Angela. We're coming to the hard sell at the end. So, okay, we've rattled through a few fantastic features. What I'm interested in is, what do your valuers actually think is the best feature? Because obviously, principals of the business often see different benefits, don't they, to the actual team using the tools in the office. What do you think they like most about Acaboom?
For ours, it's the fact that we all know, like, life in the office catches up on us. It's a busy world. So pre-Acaboom, you know, standards where we'd come back to the office, the marketing specialist back to the office, they type in their notes, they put a general entry in, please catch up with this customer. Busy world, you've got sales progression, you've got this, you know, that wasn't always being done. In the best will in the world, I think there's not an agent in the land could probably confirm 100% every single valuation gets followed up. So our valuers know that their customers are going to still be kept in touch with. Yes, we strive, you know, for that 100% to keep in touch with our customers, but this just gives that cushion that, you know, the customer's going to have Goldfinch land in their lap, on their laptop, you know, iPhone, what have you, within a week, then the following week. So the brand is kept alive. And I think for the valuers, that's what they love. And also the back end, the reports that they get, being able to see when a presentation is being monitored and looked at, and As you say, it's just a great tool to be able to keep in touch with the customer post-val.
Okay. And what do you think surprised you most about the way that your company's adopted Acaboom? Was there something that, you know, when you both spoke about, you went out looking very deliberately for tools out there? Is there an element of what Acaboom actually does that has surprised you as an added benefit?
I say surprised. Having the presentation and see what it does. Probably one way no, and another way yes. Is what surprised us is the engagement it's worked with people, because it's different. I think the other thing, as Angela said, one of the biggest features I love is the weekly send outs of the market updates, because every person looks at property. Rightmove, I think, have something like 100 million people just ghosting Rightmove, having a little nose what's going on. And when we've asked in our survey about that, people say you're the only agent that keeps us, because they obviously think we send it every week, which is great, because that's what we tell them. They get an update on what's coming on, what's gone under offer, what's happening in their area. So you're providing great information about their area that no other agent does, and everyone likes property. And I spoke to Susanna the other day, and we looked at how many people have unsubscribed. Now we've put on probably 300 so far. Not one has unsubscribed.
That's incredible.
One person, and bear in mind they're getting this every week. I thought we'd get some go no and click. Not one person. Their insatiable appetite for looking at property, and as Angela quite rightly said, every week Trigonco's in front of their face every week. So even if we're busy and we forget the follow-ups, because we are all busy at the moment, I take comfort that every week that client is getting an update from us, which they think we produce every week.
And what's amazing about that is, you know, you're getting, it sounds like the pair of you are getting great benefits already, but actually most of these people who have bought or sold you, certainly in the last year or two, you know, the vast majority of these will not be going to buy or sell a property again in the very short term, are they? But when they start to, that residual kind of brand building that you've been doing with this, you can be absolutely certain that Goldfinch or Chicken Go are going to be top of their list, aren't they? Because why would they not? You're the only agent, or probably the only agent, that has been servicing them this really valuable property information. Ergo, your job to be the property specialist, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think you build up a bank. Like you said, we've been using it now since probably 4 months, 5 months. So I see once a year passes or so, that's where we're going to see even more benefit. But what it also does, in one place, you can look to see all the valuations, what's happened, all the comments. So you then build up this database as well.
Why do you think that? I mean, obviously they're not the only guys, and Susanna, don't bite my head off saying this, but you know, other people do property updates. They do localize there, but there is something about it. I mean, and I will just say myself, you know, I can testify to that. When Susanna first joined Acaboom, she did a demonstration to me, and as you do, puts in my postcode. And I still religiously get those property updates, and you know, no intention to sell or anything like that. But you're quite right, see those come through, even if it's just a quick reference there, just to see if anything's happened. They are very compelling. What do you think it is that's specific about Acaboom that's doing the job? Is it just the right balance of information, do you think?
It's the whole package. I think, like Angela said, I did spend the time in although we could work here, the time in lockdown and looking at lots of tech. I mean, there's so much tech out there now. I think everyone is inventing some tech to problems that don't exist. And Angela's right. There was lots of companies out there that can do videos, or they can do fancy emails that you click and explode and do things. And there was lots of things. The one thing that I loved about Acaboom, it put everything in one place. It did the presentation, the valuation letter, the follow-up, all the stats, all in one place in a lovely package. That is why Acaboom was the one to choose.
Yeah, it's very streamlined, isn't it? I mean, I've just come up to our year's anniversary. We started using it. I think we commissioned you guys last November, went live December, and just signed up again. You know, there was never any question or doubt that I was not going to do that and continue forward due to the success that we've had this year.
You would, from what you intimate there, then really, Angela, it sounds like you would see that you can have plenty of suppliers to a business, but these are a genuine partner.
Yes, Yes.
Yeah, so that's quite an important.
I think I used to see Acaboom as a nice to have.
Yeah.
Now I see it as an essential.
Right. Yeah, that's really
Same as us. Even though it's short term, there's some. I mean, there's lots of tech that's nice to have that's costly, but Acaboom is a must. We won't be dropping it, not at all. And the other thing
I think with Acaboom, return on value, and I think value for money for what we get, it is just incredible. There's no, there's a lot of things out there that are always questioned by agents in terms of cost and return on value, but Acaboom, I've never, when I came to renew, that was never an issue, because I think the cost and the value of it is exceptional.
Yeah, of course. And Keith's absolutely right. There's so much tech out there. If only there was like a certain pink website that could help people out with that kind of.
Is that like a puffly thing?
There was no way we're getting through this without me giving a plug.
I think talking about, it's almost like a prospecting tool as well, because again, there's lots out there, and we're often sending out stuff to through doors that, in streets we don't know if they're moving or not, other agents' details. The nice thing about the Acaboom thing, which you're sending it out to the owner, at least you're sending it to someone who is looking to move, and you're constantly sending that message out. So the return back is greater than the mass shotgun approach on other areas. So I almost see it as like a mini prospecting system.
Yeah.
What we've done now, which is starting to really work, we've just set in places when we speak to someone who registers with us, who lives on the island, who stay on with agent X. So we ask them, how are you going? Yeah, it's fine. I'm getting a bit fed up, but I've got another couple of weeks on my contract. What we're then saying to them is, we're going to send you a video presentation. Yeah. So what we're doing is, we're actually not sending the pre-val, we're sending the post-val, but we're taking one of the slides out which says the price, because on our presentation it covers everything. So we send them that presentation so they get about our company, and then we know every week they're going to get a market update from us, which is more than the other agent. And we've already had 2 people say, I can't believe in the 3 weeks from registering with you, I've had weekly contact of what the market's doing in your presentation. I've heard nothing from the other agent.
Great angle.
People that are on the market or not on the market, rather than just valuations we've gone out to. We've also done, like Angela did, we're going back to all our old FMAs, sending it out. We've already had instructions from that, but we're now deploying it front end. So anyone who's got a property to sell, who's registered with us or on the market, instead of just writing the normal canvassing letter, we're just sending Acaboom, and that's doing it for us. So it's now almost a prospecting tool as well.
That must be really pleasing, Susanna, to hear that clients are being really innovative in the way that they're obviously utilising the.
Great, I'm not saying anything here. Look, this wasn't even preempted. I'm just happily sat behind my pen listening.
I was going to make the point that this is the most quiet I've ever heard you, but I'm too polite.
I'm more than happy for somebody else to talk Acaboom while I kind of take a back seat in that respect. But I mean,
I think what this shows to me, though, Susanna, is actually there's a very it's the flexibility of the package as well. Acaboom is, it's very easy to pick and choose the slides there.
That's what I was just going to say. Yeah.
To drop in, if you felt that slide wasn't appropriate for the particular person you sat in, you can literally just go in, as I understand it, can't you? Just click on the hide slide, and then it will just be left off the presentation.
Well, you should know, Simon. You use it yourself.
I was going to try and be neutral there, but thank you.
We've just literally come to our first anniversary where we've renewed, so we've had the ability to actually freshen up our slides as well, and we've added the COVID slide in, and just put so it offers flexibility, as you say, Simon. But I think it's very diverse as well in how we use it as agents. So yeah, good.
And I think that one of the things, one thing we should say, God, I can't believe we've made it all this way through without, is actually you were awarded silver, weren't you, in the RAN suppliers preferred suppliers list, which is a fantastic accolade. So well done on that front. But also, most collaborative partner as well. So you've gone out and beyond, and you haven't been quiet this year, have you? Well, you certainly haven't, but Acaboom haven't been quiet in terms of you've launched the new app, which is called Acaboom in your pocket. So that's going down well with so you know, whereas Keith was saying, you know, it's all in one place. Well, actually now you've got it in desktop and you've also got it on mobile if you want to be able to do it. And it's one of those wonderful things where it's not like some people say, well, it's a cloud-based system, so you can just access it on any device, and you're kind of, you know, you're kind of scrunching to have a look. It's actually really optimized, isn't it, for those devices, which I really like.
I recommend every valuer out there has it downloaded on their mobile phone, because literally it means you can send a proposal from your phone. You'll even get a notification as you get back in the car saying you've just done Mrs. Cottrell's market appraisal, swipe to send the proposal.
Yeah,
You can literally swipe on your phone and send it from there. Takes 10 seconds. It's that easy to actually send just from a device like that. You can even, just outside the property, change the comparables. You know, if you turn up at the property and think, I've put the wrong comparables in, dive in on your phone and quick, you can change them and things like that. It's that easy to do.
I think that's the beauty of Acaboom, is unlike others, which I find tech, it's like, there it is, it only does that, and you've got to follow the system. But as Andrew's saying, we can take out slides. So if we're going to someone who's don't want to know about mortgage, don't want to talk about it, we just flick that slide out. So you almost bespoken it, rather than before we were sending our brochure that sort of tried to cover everything. And these slides, you can pop a new one in, take it out. So it's the flexibility that was attractive as well, rather than that's it. It's a bit like there's another app that does sales chasing, and that's it, and that's all it does.
Yeah.
And you can't bespoke it to a client who says, well, I don't want that. Where Acaboom, you can duck in, duck out, change it. It's so flexible. That's another big feature of it.
It's very, it's almost like prospecting catnip though, isn't it? When you see that little pop up on the phone, the little notification someone's done it, and you swipe right, and then literally then if you've got the phone number stored in the system, literally click on the phone number there. You know, salespeople are losing their excuses, aren't they? Not to be able to phone people and not to get the right time here, because you've set yourself up for the absolute best chance of success in terms of timeliness, to get on with them. Angela, is this something you've started using as well, the app, or is that
marketing specialists do? Yes. Yeah. And they found it really good. Yeah.
And you know, where you were talking about before, Angela, in terms of the those reports, and you said one of the nice features is that, you know, well, not just the reports, but actually the presentation themselves. Obviously, we're all here hoping that we can close down an appraisal within, you know, a nice short period of time. But there are those people, obviously, that go away and deliberate. And let's be, if we're probably being unkind, most people then just write them off as tire kickers, don't we? And we just forget about them. One of the things that I do hear from Acaboom clients is that you know, the surprising amount of people that open these presentations up, you know, weeks or months later, and give it, that's the crucial thing you would ordinarily not know about. That's a really powerful benefit, isn't it?
Yes, very powerful. Yes.
Right.
We find again it's back to the letter thing. See, so like you said, I mean, at the moment instructions are tight and the market's obviously very different. But if everyone sends a letter, they all have a quick read. Yeah, say today, they go away on holiday for 2 weeks, come back, and they're thinking about moving. That letter's gone in the bin.
Yeah.
Where we are still sending their thing every week, they can go back in their presentation. So it's never lost. That presentation is never lost. And that's what we found the biggest. And the staff, like you said, Simon, we often as owners think of tech and look sometimes and think this is fantastic, and then you roll it out to the staff and they look at it and go, well, that's not, we don't like that. I've got to say, and I'm not just saying it, they absolutely love Acaboom, because it gives them, especially the listers, they go out, they can click in, they love the usage and being with the client using the iPad rather than a bit of paper or clipboard giving out the same crap that most agents give out. It's the interaction, and they love every time someone opens it, they love knowing they're going to ring the next day. Clearly we don't say, because obviously we have a slightly older population here, and what I don't want people to think is we've put some bug on their computer or whatever, we're spying on them. But it's amazing when we ring people and they say, oh, we were just talking about it. Really? And the other thing is, which we do get sometimes on it, is knowing all the thing about the client, the social media. So it collects all the data on this client. So actually, we've got a guy who does a lot of cycling, cycled in the London Marathon and all this. And we went out to a client who's mad on cycling. Yeah. So we sent him out, and clearly he talks about cycling. We won the instruction. Now, I know it sounds a bit sort of corny, but it did work because we knew who we were going out to. So it helps us to send potentially, not all the time, the right person for the right client, rather than I think we had a saying once, you will always get probably 30%, 40% on, but
Yeah.
it's the other 10 or 15% we want to get on. That's where you have to make the difference. You'll always win so many, it's getting those extra, and that's where you send the targeted person out who's going to fit with that client.
And that all conversation is about empathy at the end of the day, isn't it? So any links you can make there are gold.
Yeah, the commonality is extremely important, isn't it, in the appointment? So the ability that Acaboom gives us to be able to do that is, again, just another highlight of the system.
Well, it turned out this vendor actually did the cycle ride. There was this 100-mile ride from London out to Surrey and back again. There was thousands of competitors, and it turned out he was in it as well. So all my lister did, my manager was talking about it. He said, "Oh, I see you got a bike there. I'm into cycling." He said, "Really?" He said, "Well, I went on it." And they started talking about this marathon bike ride, not about the house. And then it was an easy sign up. But he knew, the manager knew before he went out. So that is another key thing that, you know, people really need to look at on Acaboom, is that there is that. It doesn't work all the time. You don't get all the information, but when you've got it, it's really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, that will be, won't it? Because it has to take it ultimately from some email, and if your email isn't linked to these addresses, so there's no, that's just the way that these social media tools work, isn't it? In terms of linking the profiles and everything else.
They have a private, doesn't they? And I think the other thing about Acaboom, to tell the RAM members, and this isn't trying to big Susanna up, but a lot of companies I've dealt with are what I call long on promises, short on delivery, and they tell you all about great tech and what they can do, and then you give it a go, and then they're hard to get hold of. The support's terrible.
Keith, we've only just met.
And I've got to say, the Acaboom, the way they put the slides together, I mean, I got my designer to put some together because we knew how he wanted it. The way they work with us, the emails back, that meant a lot to me, because I do come across a lot of, you know, we're expected as agents to respond to a client within hours or minutes, and our service levels have to be high. And yet when I go off to a company who's trying to sell to me, they tell me all they're going to do, and then when you give them a go, you just fall flat on their face. And that is also, although it's nothing to do with the presentation, it's the way we've had the backup. You can email them, you get an immediate answer, you get the report. So there's that as well, which was really good.
I agree with that. I think when we first started working with Acaboom, I found that the support team, my vision of how I wanted our report to look, and I think I was the first person, if I remember rightly, to put videos in and 360s. That hadn't been done. So I think bringing the vision, they worked exceptionally hard to be able to deliver. So when I actually got the end result, it was exactly as I'd, you know, and we sometimes, as you say, we use companies that you set out to have one thing and you end up with something completely different, and you're like, well, that doesn't even live up to what my expectations were. And that was what, you know, right from day one, that confidence was instilled in using Acaboom, and then the support afterwards. So yeah, and I think for the RAN members out there, if you're not already using Acaboom, then, you know, I think hopefully we've actually been able to instill the confidence to go out and try it.
Well, they have a can do, not can't do. And the other thing that really impressed me was Brian, the owner and director of it, who obviously, I don't know whether we can say isn't sometimes based abroad. He actually picked up the phone and spoke to me. Now, I thought, if an owner of the business is happy to do that, he's got my work, because that made me feel we were important to him as a client, rather than just a salesperson that rung us up to do the sales pitch. So that was, I did do an email back saying that was a real, you know, he took the time out in his busy schedule, because we had a few things I wanted to do, to talk to me, and we had a few ideas, rather than just left the salesperson who then goes back to the owner. That was really impressive.
He's probably one of the most humble men I know actually in the industry, really. There is none of that, you know, over gravitas that some people who plaster their merch all over the place ostentatiously, and Brian is very good for that. He genuinely does want to know that he's got a solution that works. So I'm not surprised, but it's really, I think that must be lovely to hear, isn't it, Susanna?
Yeah, I'm sure Brian will be delighted to hear it.
Yeah, it's a can do, not can't do, and that was their motto. I think when every time I've asked something, we can do that, we just go away and see if we can do it. Not, no, can't do that, no, can't do that, doesn't do this. As Andrew said, when you got the product back, it was exactly how I wanted it, rather than other things I've used. I get it back and think, well, that's not what was on the shelf. You know, it's a bit like you see a McDonald's advert. You see a lovely hamburger on the telly, but when you go in, it never looks like that. and that's what I found. You got what was on the tin, and that's what I asked for, and that's what got delivered, and that is what we tried to do as agents as well. And a lot don't. They long on promises, short on delivery, and when you've got it, it's not quite how it was. But like,
Well, I think that's lovely to hear so eloquently, and obviously at length as well. Obviously, we've been over the half-hour limit now in terms of hearing you talk about it. I think is great to be able to do that, and of course, it is a reason we always say, look, do go to Kerfuffle and have a look at any supply you're thinking of using there. It's not like anything, you've still got to use your own judgment, but there's something lovely about being able to go to that landing page as Acaboom's does. At the moment, certainly last time I looked, it was all 5-star reviews. It was 5-star reviews as well, not from anonymized people, in the comments box, but actually named agents like yourselves. So you can take a view, and hopefully that does give you the confidence, because it's quite lonely as a business owner, isn't it? Making these choices about which technology and suppliers you can make. You can get the old salesperson's reference list that they'll have taken, normally out for a few drinks and say, can you have a word? But that doesn't do enough these days, does it, to make sure you're on the right track?
Well, there's so much out there, like I said. I mean, if you look this year, because I suppose lockdown, I've never seen so much tech hit the market, and a lot of it I think is a waste of time. But anyone who can think of anything has created a bit of tech to do something. And there's so much out there, and I think we're quite tech savvy, but it's trying to wade through the right stuff, and all the presentations always look great. Like I said, like the burger on telly, it always looks great.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in, it may look great, but does it work? And does it work for what I want? And that, again, as I have to say, Acaboom scores massively. So, as Angie, if any RAM member hasn't got it, you're crazy.
That's great. Yeah, you make the point there. It's like when the kids are going to open their boxes for me, all the stuff I've ordered from China didn't look like it did on the Facebook advert.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I sum it up. And there's a lot of that out there. You see it looks, I mean, all the CRM systems, I saw one the other day, okay? And it looked fantastic. I rung them up and I was going through it, and they said, we don't do emails out yet. We don't do automated texting. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, how do you communicate with clients? But the website and everything looked fantastic. And that's the problem. You have to get behind that look.
Clothes, isn't it? It's the Emperor's new clothes. They look shiny, but don't deliver. Great.
Yeah.
Well, I think we just need to leave the final word, really, in terms of, I think we know where we're going with this, but I think it goes without saying you'd recommend, obviously, any RAN member not looking at this to have a chat with Susanna and
100%, yes, 100%.
Yeah. There is no doubt in my mind that's who they should be ringing, and no other agent on the Isle of Wight, by the way.
That we would never do that. I think that's really useful to know. Thank you for that. And I think one thing we should say, Susanna, as well, is you guys put together a really compelling a presentation for RAN, for the entry into the competition, which goes into a little bit more information about the key stats about the business. 140 RAN members, 5-star kerfuffle rating, 99%, all of these points, 18 new members, including your good self there, Keith, as well.
Yeah.
Testimonials there from, as we unsurprisingly, Acaboom is a must, from Angela. A bit more information on the actual, in terms of the actual case studies and information. And what we'll do, Susanna, is any RAN members that are interested, if you just drop us a line in afterwards, we'll happily send this out. And I think the guys, the clever video guys, are going to put your Calendly link on there as well. So if they do want to, I don't think they're going to be looking to get a demonstration in before the new year, aren't they? From what I understand.
I'm looking for January now, and we're not delivering till February now because we are really busy. So.
And also, if any other RAN member, because there's another RAN member who asked us about a telephone answering service. If any RAN member wants to call us, I'm more than happy to speak to them, to talk through it and tell them my personal experience.
Again, I do love that. That couldn't be any more up the RAN kind of what RAN's about, isn't it? Helping out your fellow members. So getting all Christmassy and teary there, Keith.
Yeah, I know. It's I've obviously had some generosity juice by Father Christmas.
I want to say thank you so much there, Keith. Obviously, you can go just amble down to the pub or bar and just have it there.
So jealous.
Angelo, I'm sure you know somewhere to go. I'm going to go back to my substantial meals and my 20,000 calories a day. And thank you very much. Genuinely, that's been enlightening. I think I know about as much about Acaboom as anyone else, but every time I have a conversation with a user, something else comes out. And I think that's the sign of a really powerful tool, you know, one of those useful tools that isn't just there to, you know, to be glitzy and shiny. So thank you once more.
Yeah, thumbs
Anna,
up.
do you want to have the final word, as you always try to?
I don't think that's me. I think that's more you. But no, just thanks everybody for listening, really, and a big thank you to Keith and Angela, who weren't prepped for this today and kind of have just, well, really big Acaboom up for me. So just thanks to everyone.
Last word to make. Speak to the silver winners of RAN Acaboom, obviously there, and oh god, I did forget there is a fantastic deal up on the website on Kerfuffle as well to get you what do you call what's it called?
It's a Kerfuffle Kickstart. So what we do is we ask them for an export of their old valuations, but they've not yet won, when they go live, and we import them into Acaboom so that they can send them all a new proposal. And we often get agents kind of win instant return on investment from kind of the old data.
You guarantee about 10 listings, don't you? I think.
We did have somebody get 6 instantly off the back of what they did. So.
Brilliant. Well, look, there's the perfect opportunity. Please give them a ring once more. Thank you, everybody. Keith, Angela, Susanna, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everyone's kerfuffling.